Hello and welcome to the first episode of a new series I'm calling Tokusatsu Check-In. This is where I want to just talk about the Tokusatsu I've been watching without doing full reviews on each individual series at this time. I am still working on a full review of Drive. I'm very excited for that. Drive has quickly become one of my favorites. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I've done one episode in the series before, even though it wasn't called Tokusatsu Check-In. I did it right after I finished Gaim, I believe. That was my fifth Rider series. I did it right then. But I've watched a lot more Toku since then, and I want to talk a little bit about each show, why I think you should watch Tokusatsu if you've never seen Tokusatsu, and what it's like being new to this entire genre of television that is very popular in a lot of places of the world. Kind of niche over here in the States, but there's a lot of people that love it anyway. And so I've very much enjoyed my time with it. I started last year with Kamen Rider Double at about middle of the year, and I absolutely adored Kamen Rider Double. It was so good, still is really good in my opinion. Amazing music, great characters, a pretty good story. There were definitely some stumbles here or there, but I think it comes together really well. And by the end of it, I absolutely adored those characters. Really, really good team. Really, really cool story arc and progression, especially when it comes to Shotaro. Hidari Shotaro got some amazing character progression, and I really love him as a character. He is still my favorite main writer, but we'll get into some of the other favorites as we go here. After that, I watched Kamen Rider O's. Kamen Rider O's is really, really good too. I love the relationship between AG and Ankh. I think O's has some really good villains. While at the same time not having the most interesting main villain, but I think it all ties together really well. And I think O's capitalizes on its theme really well and has a pretty good secondary too. Like I liked Axel. Axel was cool, but I think Birth is cooler than Axel, right? I think Birth is a really cool idea. And I love the whole coin gimmick. I can't look at change the same way ever again. Counter O's was really, really fun. After O's, I watched Forze. Forze was really good. I think Forze for a long time had my favorite secondary rider. Meteor. Meteor is great. I love Gintaro. Gintaro's really good. The main story of Forze really trips up at times. It doesn't have the same like progression that say Double and O's had, but by the end, I really enjoyed the Forze story. I thought it was really fun. And the ending moments with Sayate playing get me every time. Like Double has a moment that breaks me. O's doesn't really have any that make me like break down, but they're really good. And then Forze's Sayate moment, it gets me pretty good. After that, I watched Wizard, and Wizard was the first Toku show that I'd seen where I was like, okay, I don't really like this. I love Wizard's suit. I love Wizard's transformation. I love Wizard's abilities. But I didn't like any of the characters really. Even when Beast came in, Beast was pretty good, but none of them hit the same level for me that the Forze characters, the O's characters, or the Double characters did. So Wizard was the first one that I finished because I felt like I needed to, and because I was hoping it would get better. And it did for a little while. In the middle with the stuff with Phoenix, it got really good. And then it kind of just fell off again for me, and Wizard just didn't work anymore for me after that. But after that, I watched Gaim, and watching Gaim at the time, I think I liked it a lot because I'd just come off Wizard. But I also really liked Gaim. I think they did a really good job with Gaim. Gaim, like O's and Forze, I think really struggles at parts with its story. Not O's, I'm sorry, like Double and Forze. I think it really struggles at times with its storytelling. Gaim, there are some stuff, just some moments in Gaim that make me go, why did we even have that? And the big ones, of course, are the crossover episodes. Those crossover episodes that just derail the plot completely. Those did not need to be there. And in fact, in one case, it made me legitimately mad that it interrupted a moment that was one of the best moments in the show. But at the same time, I think Gaim had some really interesting characters. I think Takatora and Michizane are two of the most interesting characters in Tokusatsu. And seeing their journeys and where they end up across the course of Gaim, I think is really rewarding. I think characters like Zack and characters like, I can't remember his name right, Jonoichi, are really cool. That's offset a little bit by the fact that I think Koda is just kind of fine as a protagonist. I like him, but I don't love him. And I think Kaito is fine as a deuteragonist. I think he's all right. I like the idea behind Kaito more than I like Kaito, if that makes sense. But I think that it works out pretty well, and Gaim altogether comes out to be pretty good. I think Gaim is really solid. I think were it not for some of those missteps, and especially those crossover episodes that just really drag it down, I think Gaim would be one of my like top 5. And even now, it might be number 5 in my top 5 writer that I've seen, because I've only seen a handful, right? But it just didn't work for me in places. It worked a lot more than Wizard did, but in places, I wished that it had been a little bit more. From there, I took a detour. Instead of going straight into Drive, I went to Sentai and I watched Kyoryuger because of the guy movie where Kyoryuger shows up. And I really enjoyed Kyoryuger. Kyoryuger was my first Sentai, and it was an absolute blast. Just so much fun. It also has some difficulties. Like it has some problems for sure. It is very focused on King to the point where other characters don't really get the care that they deserve. But it also has maybe my favorite set of villains in all of Toku. In fact, I think I would say it is my favorite. I absolutely love the commanders that work for the Deboss. That's it. For Deboss. I think Indolf, Dogold, what's his name? Igalon, Kendo Ira. I think they're all super cool, really awesome. I'm sure you can hear the birds chirping outside my window while I'm talking right now. But I think they're all super cool, right? They did such a good job with them. All told, I still really love Kyoryuger. After Kyoryuger, they are just getting louder and louder right now. After Kyoryuger, I decided that I would watch another Sentai series, and I started Tokuger. And Tokuger is really good. And around the time that I started Tokuger, I also started Kamen Rider Drive. Drive I'll get to in a minute. I want to talk about Tokuger first. Tokuger is my favorite Sentai, and is in my top 2 favorite shows in all of Tokusatsu so far. I adore Tokuger. The characters are great. Every character gets time. Every character gets time spent on them and who they are as characters. The journey those characters go on as they are forced to face things that they should not have had to face, right? Zalem, Akira is amazing. He's my favorite Sixth Ranger for sure, and I love Utsumimaru. But, like, oh, so good. Absolutely adore Akira. Schwartz is really cool. When you get into the stuff with Zet, that's all really cool. Even like Baron Nero is really cool, right? I love Tokuger, and the path that those characters take and where they get to by the end of it is really, really good. So then I watched Kamen Rider Drive, and Drive started off really slow for me. I did a full review of it on Twitter. I'm doing a full review of it on the channel once I get that script done. I thought Drive was really enjoyable at first, but it kind of just, monster of the week, right? Then you get past episode like 10, and Chaser is a thing that comes up. Machine Chaser comes up a lot. And then you get past episode, I think it's 12 when Maha shows up. And once Kamen Rider Maha is there, everything just goes on this like track. It's just spiraling down towards the end of upwards in quality and downwards in good things happening to the protagonists. And you get the episodes that focus on Q and Oda, and you get the episodes that focus on Shinosuke's dad, and you get all of that rolling in around this conflict with Machine Chaser and with Go, and it looking like people are switching sides. And then you get Kamen Rider Chaser, and you get Go and everything going on with Maha and Dead Heat. All of that is so good. And then you get into the end, and it's my favorite ending to a Rider series so far. It's my favorite moment in a Rider series is the Always Chaser moment. I love that moment so much. Kamen Rider Drive is my favorite Tokusatsu show, hands down, right now. It's gonna take a lot to dethrone it. So for me right now, it's Drive, and then Tokuger, and then Double. That's where I'm at right now. So my top 5 would probably be Drive, Tokuger, Double, O's, Kyoryuger. I think that's where I'm sitting right now. But just in Rider, obviously, it would be Drive, Double, O's, Gaim. it might be Drive Double O's Forza game. Um, Except for the fact that I watched another Rider series. So I watched Kamen Rider Den-O, and Den-O is ridiculous. I love Den-O. It's funny while also being serious, while also being tragic. You could tell that like some stuff happened with Hana's actress, and they weren't able to get her back, and that changed the course of the story. But I honestly think it changed in a really good way. I think that character became way more interesting after that happened. So much good about Den-O, and so very little not great. I think Den-O at times can be a little confusing, especially with like the interaction with the movie, and then the movie with Gao is not actually that great. I didn't really enjoy that movie, but I think that where it all comes together is really solid. Den-O though, when you get into Saraba movie, oh, I love those characters. You know, the Imagine are so good. I love Yuto. I love Ryotaro. I love those characters so much. So then my ranking had to change. Then it was Kamen Rider Drive, Kamen Rider Double, Kamen Rider Den-O, Kamen Rider O's, Kamen Rider Forze, right? And then my ranking of all of Toku had to change. Then it was Kamen Rider Drive, Tokuger, Double, Den-O, O's, right? And so I'm excited to see what else changes there as we go through, like what other shows will change up my top five. I'll probably do a big video on all of them when I've watched a lot more. But from there, I started watching Lupin Ranger versus Pat Ranger, Lupat. I like it a lot so far. I'm only like 15 episodes in, but I'm really enjoying those characters. I think that the thieves get a little bit more screen time than the Pat Rangers, which is kind of a shame because I think the Pat Rangers are really cool too, but that could change over the course of the rest of the series. I started watching Kamen Rider X-Aid. I'm like 9 episodes into X-Aid now, and I like it well enough. I don't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed Drive even early on, but I think the ideas in X-Aid are really cool, and I'm excited to see where those pay off, right? Right now it's been kind of predictable of introduce another rider, introduce another rider, introduce another rider. Then the next set of episodes is getting power-ups for each of those riders. So hopefully it breaks from that and becomes its own standard formula from there. But I decided to spread out a little bit more from there. And I'm trying to focus down and finish X-Aid, and then Build will be next, and then I can watch Zio, and then I can get all of the movies, right? But I started watching Ultraman Geed because I wanted to get into the Ultraman side, and Geed was recommended to me. And Ultraman Geed is a ton of fun. I don't know anything about Ultraman. All of Ultraman is new to me, right? But Ultraman Geed, it feels like you don't really have to know that much about Ultraman. They do a really good job of explaining the stuff going on, and like they're using the power of previous Ultraman. And it's clear that that would mean more to me if I had seen who those Ultramen were and their stories. But they do a pretty good job of explaining them already, and I could go back and watch the original now for each of those Ultramen and go, oh, okay. Whereas this one doesn't really seem to require much knowledge of the previous one, so it's a great place to start, I think. I'm really enjoying it. I'm 7 episodes in now, I think. And Riku is a great protagonist so far. I really like the growth he's had to go on. And the stuff going on with Leto and Zero is pretty cool too. I have also, of course, been watching Kamen Rider Zero One and Kira Major, the 2 current airing Sentai and Rider series. Kamen Rider Zero One is on episode 34, I think now, and it's really solid. It's gotten a little stale in places, but at the same time, I think the characters are good enough to be able to boost it back up. And I'm excited to see how it all comes together for the ending. I like the characters a lot. I love the belt. I love the progress keys. I have way too many progress keys on the shelf in the hallway because I really like the idea of those progress keys. Really cool. Kira Major, I'm loving so far. Kira Major is just a lot of fun. It does not try to take itself too seriously. It just has a good time while also having some pretty dark stuff going on for the characters. So hopefully that keeps up, and I'm really enjoying that. I've really, really liked the Kira Majin. I think it looks really good. I also split off into Precure. I know Precure is animated and not default tokusatsu, right? But I've heard so many people talk about how good Precure is. Kat and Joel on Twitter convinced me to try it, and so I've started with Hug2 Precure, or Hugto Precure, I guess. I am 3 episodes in now, and I really, really like it. The animation's top notch. It definitely has the same heart as Tokusatsu show, and like I look back now and see how many other shows that I've seen that had that, of like Ronin Warriors, for instance, that was brought over here. The idea of the 5-man team, that each one gets a different power up and they have to transform into it, and then their desire is to protect the people, even though the people may not recognize or appreciate what they're doing. And the heart of a Tokusatsu hero is definitely there, and I'm really enjoying my time with Hug2. I want to see more Precure for sure after this. So that's where I'm at right now on Tokusatsu. This is the Tokusatsu check-in. I have seen half of the first season of Goro, and I want to see the rest of it, but I saw that a long time ago when it first came out. So I want to go back and watch that over again as well. But let me know in the comment section down below if you have any recommendations for Tokusatsu that I should check out. If you think that after I watch X-Aid into Build into Zio, if I should then go back straight to Kuga, or if you think I should watch a specific other show first. Maybe you would prefer that I go all the way back to Jetman in Sentai before I watch whatever the next Sentai I was going to watch is. And maybe you have a recommendation on Ultraman or Precure. Let me know in the comment section down below, because I think Tokusatsu is such a cool community. I want to talk for just a minute before I was about to end the video. I want to talk for just a minute about how cool it is to be coming into this large fandom with all these different shows and not to be treated like an idiot for having not seen stuff. When I say I haven't seen this show yet, but it looks cool, I never get told, what are you doing? Why haven't you watched it yet? I always get told, oh, I can't wait to hear what you say about it. Or, oh, I can't wait to see your reaction to it. Or, oh, I can't wait for you to experience this cool thing that's going to happen without spoiling it for you. I love that. It makes it feel so much more inviting. So when I say, oh, I started watching Precure, I get a bunch of people... Thanks, Alexa. Get a bunch of people being like, oh, that's great. I'm so excited for you. Instead of being like, you haven't seen Precure yet? What's wrong with you? And I think that's such a cool thing that more communities should have. So I know when you look at Tokusatsu, you look at Kamen Rider, you look at Super Sentai, you look at Ultraman, you look at Precure, you look at Garo, you look at Space Sheriff Gavan, you look at Metal Warriors, I think is what it's called. There's another whole like segment of Tokusatsu that I haven't even got into. You look at all that and you go, man, this is huge. How am I ever going to watch all these shows? Obviously, I don't think you have to watch everything. I haven't watched everything. Just watch what you want to watch. Find something that looks cool and check it out. Ryder does a great job of finding weird ideas and making them work. Fruit, samurai dancing, detective that is also driving a car around with robots, gamer doctors. Like, you take an idea and you run with it. That's Ryder. Sentai is silly, goofy fun, but also people die. It gets serious. Bad stuff happens. But the heroes have always got to find a way to prevail. And sometimes they do it, sometimes they don't. I think that's really cool. Ultraman so far is, what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to be an Earthling? Does it matter where you come from or where you've been? How does that all work out? What is the important part there? And I love that. And Precure so far is, I have to do what I can do because I'm the only one that can do. And I think all of those messages are really good, and I really like them, and I can't wait to see more of them. So let me know your recommendations in the comment section down below. But until next time, I've been Trey. This has been The Full Spectrum. Remember to always enjoy the full spectrum Tokusatsu has to offer.